Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today I'm asking the question, how do major tech companies keep their foreign employees from spying for their home governments when they are working for these large tech companies? Now, here's what's going on. The U.S. Department of Justice is now charging two former Twitter employees for spying on behalf of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, allegedly basically accessing sensitive information about Saudi dissidents, including Omar Abdul Aziz, who was close to Jamal Khashoggi. Jamal Khashoggi being the reporter that was allegedly murdered by Saudi operatives. Now, these employees of Twitter for Saudi Arabia were accessing user locations and identities, including users' email addresses, phone numbers, IP addresses, etc., etc. Now, this is according to the complaint from the Department of Justice. One of these men allegedly accessed the sensitive personal information of approximately 6,000 Twitter users on behalf of the Saudi kingdom. Now, by virtue of this, the U.S. Senate is kind of interested in this, and so Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey asked the U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and John Abzizaid, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, he is the U.S. ambassador currently to Saudi Arabia, to explain whether they are raising concerns with Saudi officials about the apparent use of U.S. technology companies for espionage. Now, Menendez also said that Twitter must do more to help prevent oppression and abuse of dissidents. And he says he's working to understand whether Twitter has undermined U.S. national security by letting Saudi Arabia access data on its users. Now, this senator's inquiry comes as Twitter faces scrutiny already for its influence over basically the flow of information online, its handling of user data, disinformation campaigns, ad targeting, etc., etc. If you recall, I want to say a couple weeks ago, I actually did my radio show and a video on how each one of these organizations, in terms of major social media, are handling political advertising, etc. But this new line of questioning shows how Twitter and probably other Silicon Valley giants may be held to a higher standard moving forward in cases of espionage linked to their platforms and how they may be contributing to foreign espionage operations. Now, a Twitter spokesperson said the company is, and I quote, committed to protecting those who use our service to advocate for equality, individual freedoms, and human rights. Twitter has also notified the users, basically the account holders affected by this case of Saudi Arabian spying, and this is what Twitter is saying. Much of my reporting, for the record, is coming from Cyberscoop, which I forgot to mention initially, and it is a great article. Now, we have seen other forms, though, of espionage in the past couple of months by basically against U.S. companies, though it's not necessarily being classified as such because it's not technically spying. So, as an example, one of the major railroad corporations in the United States that held a lot of intellectual property on how to build rails and railroads and all that kind of stuff basically had a lot of their intellectual property stolen by an employee who is a Chinese national who is now working for their major competitor, which is a Chinese-based corporation. Also, we have seen Tesla, yes, the Tesla, the car maker, have the same thing. Their autopilot system, the entire source code for that, was actually uploaded to one of their employees' iCloud accounts, and that employee quit. He happened to be a Chinese national, and now he is working for Tesla's largest competitor in China. So the question here is multiple-fold, basically. How do you, if you are, let's say, a U.S.-based corporation, or you could be anywhere, but in this case, a U.S.-based corporation, how are you defending your intellectual property? Or in the case of espionage, how are you defending your platform full of users against your employees that may possibly have ties to a foreign government and therefore try to illicitly get access to this information on behalf of their government? Do you simply not hire foreign nationals? How do you do this? Is there a data loss prevention strategy? Are there greater levels of encryption, which is what I think should absolutely be? So if I'm looking at, something like Twitter, instead of having some kind of massive database that is open for, let's say, employees to access at will, maybe each individual user is some kind of container that is encrypted, and in order to get access, there has to be a control and a protocol to that. Or even if the database is open, having this level of access, to Twitter employees doesn't seem like it's necessarily a good idea. Same with the autopilot program. Tesla's a little different in the sense that Elon Musk has come out and said that all of our intellectual property is for the world to see, our patents, etc. But this is actually a big one, and I don't think they're really too happy about this one. So I leave the question to you. How do we ensure data loss prevention? How do we ensure anti-theft, anti-espionage, and all of that, especially when these massive corporations are hiring nationals from around the globe that may not necessarily have the U.S., in this case, interest at heart? And that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.